AzadApparel.com.
Everyone, welcome to Agil. Tonight's guest is an inspirational businessman. He is of Persian descent. He grew up in Dallas, Texas, and he founded a clothing design and apparel company called Azad Apparel. Joining me tonight via Skype from Texas, his name is Arash Piraste, a good friend of mine. Arashan, thank you so much for joining us tonight, for being with us, and for accepting our invitation.
My pleasure, Amin John. Thanks for having me.
Why don't you introduce the company to us? Tell us about how you even, got into founding a clothing design company. It's easier said than done, but I can just imagine all the ambitions and all the difficulties and all the challenges behind it. Walk us through the journey that led your company from creation to what it is today. Okay.
I have been around apparel my whole life because my grandmother, who raised me, and my grandfather was an artist. The Piraste family, uncles and aunts, they're all into art, whether it's miniatures or sculptures, oil paintings primarily. And my grandmother was a seamstress, so they kind of worked together hand in hand with design. So I grew up around clothes, I grew up around art, and I grew up around, Persian history and art. So that kind of led me to my passion, which since I was a child was to, growing up in the United States, being a Persian American, and there's a lot of unfortunate stereotypes, to answer your question, I felt motivated, inspired by Maz Jobrani, where he has this one skit about the axis of evil, and he says, just one time, I want the camera not to be on the guy screaming, to Americans and burning a flag. I want it to be on the guy, Muhammad, who's baking cookies. Like, yes, we bake cookies, we have families, we're loving people. The stereotype and misunderstanding that people are just sitting around making bombs all the time because they're from Iran is wrong. So that's the long and short of how and why it started.
Well, what's inspiring is that right from the get-go, your culture and your ethnicity was part of your business plan. That was the whole point. I think that's why you chose the name Azad, which means free in Persian. But again, it was part of your business plan. You did not just launch a business because you wanted to get into design and clothing. You launched the business because you wanted to kind of revolutionize your past and evolve it with your environment, with your entourage. Am I correct?
That's exactly right. Growing up here, you were lucky because it's such a diverse community, and you see kanji became so popular and so idealistic, and the symbology and the power and strength. And I was thinking to myself as I saw these people wearing t-shirts and tattoos that, we have Rumi and Hafez and all these great poets, but none of that's on a shirt. And then we have this beautiful calligraphy, like my Uncle Johan does the most amazing calligraphy, which you'll see is on some of my shirts. How come that's not on apparel? And I put all that together and came up with Azad. And I chose the word Azad because I think the whole world aspires to freedom, and we're lucky that in the US we have freedom, true freedom. And I think that by creating cultural awareness, that I'll kind of perpetuate that entire concept. That's my hope.
Why don't you talk about your products, Arash? Talk about the product line. You can talk about your best sellers, the popular ones, the ones that are very dear to you. I'm sure you like them all, but I'm sure there are some that are best sellers. Menswear, women's wear, also catering to children. I'll let you start.
We have a plethora of items. We have t-shirts, beanies, hoodies, scarves, yoga pants, capri pants. Due to the fact that I happen to sell a lot of boutiques tend to be more female orientated. I have a lot, I have off the shoulder items, I have burnouts, I have round necks, boat necks, dresses, tank tops, things of that nature. We have some categories like Esh, which means love in Persian. We have this off the shoulder that we have crystals across, flowing across it. You'll see that here. That's probably the most popular item. We try to modernize like Faberhash, so I created this DJ shirt It's got wings, kind of like the Faberhai, which is the symbol. You know, to put it in simple terms, it just says good thoughts, good words, good deeds. We were like, let's look at a modern one. And we kind of made it a DJ, because I think DJs in a way have a voice like, you know, Ahura Mazda did too. That's another very popular shirt. I also wanted to like create exposure and awareness for the calligraphy, like I had mentioned. Like the DJ shirt has like positive words, hope, love, loyalty, passion, words like that in Farsi. And we did that separately. Like there's a pink burnout that we have. You'll see that here. And on the top right shoulder, we have a Persian poem from Rumi, very beautiful. And then the bottom left, we again added Faberhai, so there's some depth in that shirt. We have a black V-neck. We have a couple of different black V-necks with different Rumi poems across the bottom. Some of them have nail heads across the back with Faberhai. We also have some cool hoodies that a lot of people love, like Mike Manning from Demi Lovato's band. He wears it. He wears my the black Freedom shirt. We call it just Freedom across it. We have a female version of that. And then probably one of the second most popular items are my hoodies. They're very comfortable. On the front we have griffins, and if you notice griffin behind me and on my shirt, that's the brand, and I chose that because it's a mixture of an eagle, a lion, and a ram. So in ancient Persian mythology, which I'm hoping to educate the world with, it's kind of been hidden, but it's just as powerful as any of the other cultures. It symbolizes strength and protection, and if you go to Persepolis, you'll see a variety of different griffins, and we use their imagery, whether it's the round one or this one, on various shirts. I have a lot of favorites. There's a black tank top that for the ladies, it's super popular, and I have it in 2 models. It's flowy, it's super soft. It's made with modal material, which is very comfortable and popular right now. You can get it with Azad, with the crystals, or without. It's got the poem on the bottom. So there's a lot of different products. I could kind of go on, but you can see most of them on the website.
You know, Arash, coming back to the point what you're talking about Ganji before, and why is our history and our calligraphy not on shirts? That's a good point, because, you know, young folks like yourself who grew up in the US but who are of Persian descent, who might have even been born in Iran, are raised with that mentality, are raised with that old-fashioned and proud mentality of being Persian and of maintaining and cherishing our background. And our history is so old, it's so ancient, and it's so beautiful. However, it has not been portrayed in an artistic way, in entertainment. You know, I always like to you know, make a comparison to Italians, to Greeks, to Chinese, to Egyptians, all of whom have a very ancient history like us, the former Romans, the Macedonians, the old Chinese, the Pharaohs, and the Egyptians. All of their history is so ancient, and it has been portrayed for years and years and decades onto films, onto arts, onto books, onto shirts, onto restaurants, into the travel industry, you name it. And with the Persian history and with the Persian calligraphy especially, I think there's so much opportunity and potential, not just for a young entrepreneur like yourself, but for so many others, to perpetuate this and to kind of, you know, cherish this and to make the world known where we come from. I just want to know your thoughts about this.
I couldn't have put it any better. You have a handful, maybe 2 handfuls of ancient civilizations that have changed the world per se, and their influence continues on, and Persia is one of those. Modern day Iran is, if not in the top 5, I would say, all humility aside. And we don't, unfortunately, have that positive stigma. And so while, yes, thank you, I'm an entrepreneur, it's not for me so much about the money and the business. It has to be a business for me to be able to proliferate what I'm doing, but it's more a cause, and it's just fun. Like, you know, they're cool shirts, they're fun shirts, but they have meaning and they have depth, and they create awareness.
Arash, another very important part of any business, especially in the clothing business, it's via advertisement. And what really helps sometimes is when a celebrity figure wears your shirt and shows off the shirt or shows off the scarf. I think you have done a great job, at least within the Persian community and within the Persian celebrities. You've met a lot of them. You've met singers, you've met composers, and they're wearing your shirt not just because you told them to. I can see on their faces that they really appreciate and like the product from deep down inside. How does that make you feel, first of all? And also, how hard is it to meet these celebrities and to go all over the place and to know where they are and to have that opportunity to have that picture with them with your product, and the next day that picture might be on Facebook and thousands of people see it and give it a thumbs up? That's like a dream come true. Tell me about the feeling.
It is an honor. You're absolutely right. Like when I see a random picture of Kamran and Human, or when I ran back into them when I was in Vegas and they were wearing my hoodie or my beanies, it's like awesome. So another great thing is it's been organic. I really haven't sought out any famous people. When people hear about it or they see it, I've been lucky where they've approached me or have people that they know that get in contact with me and they feel that it would be a good, connection. So I've been lucky that way. Like I talked about Mike Manning earlier, he's he's a guitarist for Demi Lovato. He saw my stuff on one of his friends and he called me and he wears my stuff on his tour. And I have people from Brazil, they seem to be really popular there, that contact and reach out and buy shirts. And so that's the great part, is I get to meet some of those Persian idols that we grew up looking up to. Like one of my favorite is Samad. I had the opportunity to meet him. And one of my favorite celebrities is Tehrane. He's well known in the Persian community. He's been on some American, I think like MTV, Bravo, different channels. He's been one of my greatest champions. He loves my stuff. He wears it everywhere. Just a shout out to Tehran.
Arashan, in closing, if there's one person who inspired you the most, who changed your life, who changed your vision, who gave you the aspiration to do what you do, who is that person and what do you have to say to that person?
I have a few of those people. One is my grandfather, God rest his soul. He was a very humble Turkish Persian, moved to Mashhad, and he was, like I said, an artist. And it was a tough go, and he went from rags to riches, literally. So he's always inspired me. And then another person would be my Uncle Reza, who's now my adopted father, since my mom passed on when I was a kid, and he stepped up in the U.S. and helped with our grandparents raise us. My sister is my #1 fan and best friend. My Aunt Mitra also helped raising us. It was really a village, like my Uncle Nasser always says, and it was a village that raised us. And I think the people that raised us, they went out of their way and they were great. And family, it's all
deep family values usually evolved into deep business values also, in case you choose that route and you go that route, and you have chosen that route. We wish you nothing but success and the best of luck in all your endeavors. Your product lines are fantastic. We love them. The women's wear, the men's wear, children's wear. It's very easy to look it up, to order it, and to receive it by mail. I have one of them right here. So this was actually sent by Azad Apparel to Ajil, courtesy of Azad. Thank you very, very much. Beautiful product, very soft, made in the US. And I've worn it many times and I like it a lot. And I think you've done a great job to kind of maintain that that perfectionism into your product lines and make those available to men, women, and children. Arashan, thank you very much for being with us today. I hope to talk to you soon again.
I appreciate it, and don't forget, it's Generation Azad, eternal freedom.